The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those Knuckleheads of Liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. We're coming at you on June 29th, 2022. And again, we're about a year and a half into this Biden administration. And it's we've gotten now, the Democrats have taken us to a tale of two insurrections. I tell you, they keep talking about January 6th, and they seem to have paused it just long enough to start their own now with respect to the Supreme Court. But before we get into any of that, let me introduce you to our panel. In our upper left-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in Liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. In our upper right-hand corner, we have Tim Everett, our screaming eagle of freedom. He is a pilot in the state of California. And my name is Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. So maybe we could get to the visuals right away here. So it's pretty crazy, but the Babylon Bee just seems to be a day ahead of reality every time with their satire. And they said Dems paused 6 hearings to call for insurrection. And of course, this is to be fair, they got a signal from whoever the leaker was for a couple of months that, hey, people were literally willing to assassinate Judge Kavanaugh over this. Yes. But right on cue, they stopped their hearings knowing that this is going to come out, the January 6 hearings, which were the hearings looking into insurrection yet again of Donald Trump, because like I said, we've had two impeachment hearings now, and now we have this insurrection hearing. We talked about that before on the show. It's kind of loaded in one direction by Nancy Pelosi. So it's, like yet another witch hunt. I mean, I don't know when we're going to end these witch hunts. Probably, I imagine even when Trump is buried and dead, we will still have insurrection hearings.
Probably will.
But anyways, it's absolutely, crazy. I mean, the Democrats are literally running around out there calling this now illegitimate. This is another branch of government. And they are out in the mobs yelling that this is all illegitimate. And I think I had an image somewhere of AOC, maybe not in this one, I guess, darn it. But yeah, she was right out in the middle of some of these crowds yelling for that this was a illegitimate. And that's what you hear all of these Democrat leaders yelling, that this is illegitimate. With crowds of protesters screaming, and that starts to go in the direction of sedition, I think. This is a legitimate branch of government, and they are out there churning up mobs yelling that this is illegitimate. So I personally, as a libertarian, I kind of think we should be free to say those things, but they're literally trying somebody to peacefully march to the Capitol and fight like hell. And that's what you hear these people saying constantly out here about the Supreme Court decision. What do you guys think about this?
Well, I don't think we should use the word hypocrisy, hypocrites, accuse the Democrats of being hypocrites, because we're going to sound like broken records here, especially Leon and I both. I mean, we're equally guilty of this moniker that we keep throwing around about these Democrats, and they're I can't even say it. It starts with an H. It's the H word. Okay. And I don't want to say it because I sound like a broken record. But if you can try some bunch of people for insurrection about an illegitimate election result, and then at the same time, it's okay to call the Supreme Court decisions illegitimate, then something's wrong.
And by the way, before you go
the
on,
H word, Tim, the H word.
but before you go on,
don't say it, Leon. Don't say it.
We found our image. Here is AOC screaming with a crowd, illegitimate, and she's chanting illegitimate. They respond back, illegitimate. She says illegitimate. So there's no room at all for any kind of ambiguity.
Well, I heard they beefed security up around the Supreme Court, put a fence up there to keep riffraff from protesting and then invading the Supreme Court halls and pinning poor Justice Clarence Thomas in his room, in his private den or wherever he goes. I don't know. I just keep hearing this. Are they afraid of these Democrats? Is that what's going on?
Wow. Yeah, boy.
I wouldn't be. Well, how could they be afraid of the Democrats? They're trying people for doing the same thing. They would not dare do anything like that to the Supreme Court now, would they? Is that why they put the fence up there?
Never. But even though we are making comments about these things and we kind of joking about it, but there's a really big issue here that's going on that we should really pay attention to. Now, the Roe versus Wade decision, we know had a very weak legal foundation. Whether you're for abortion or you're against abortion, Roe versus Wade had a very weak legal foundation. Everybody, every constitutional scholar would tell you this. Okay, the foundation was weak, and that right of abortion was made out of thin air. But Tim, you're right. It's another branch of government, the Supreme Court, in this case, the judicial branch. They have made a decision on something, but yet now we have the Democrats marching in the streets, telling it this is illegal, it's illegitimate, and on they are going. Like if the Supreme Court itself has no legitimacy. Now you think about that for a second. When we see lawlessness in the name of social justice, that's okay. When we see lawlessness in the terms of, say, January 6th, that's not okay. They want us to be selective in who we prosecute for lawlessness. This seriously undermines our constitutional republic. The tolerance of lawlessness in our society is a serious, serious problem. And not only the tolerance of lawlessness, but the selective prosecution of the lawbreakers is an even bigger problem, because these people are now picking winners and losers in the prosecution of crime. This is a big problem. This is an attack upon our constitutional republic, and this is an attack upon the very nature of the values of Western civilization, which have brought us to where we are today. This is a big problem, even though we're joking about, AOC and idiocy. But this is a big problem.
Well,
so if I was the statue of justice and looking at the scales of justice,
the blindfold,
and I was, would this be the Democrats' way of looking at the scales of justice? Like
without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Okay.
If you're using that eye mask as a COVID mask, they'd be completely looking at the scales.
All I had was a napkin from the hotel, so I had to use what I had.
Fauci would be proud.
No matter what matter what part of your face you cover up, Fauci would probably be proud.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well, one of the things too I wanted to bring out, and I didn't quite hit on that too, is that this has gotten a little bit close to some violent pounding on the buildings and other things in places like Arizona. They've knocked down the fences on the state house and have been up kicking at the doors and other things. In fact, if we could get a visual of that, I had that up just before we left last, and here the protesters are. They've knocked over a fence and they're up banging against the doors. So suspiciously close to the insurrection they're talking about from January 6th, although I don't think the Justice Department will be out there, because they have the correct political flavor for this Justice Department.
Exactly.
But
selective prosecutions and the tolerance of lawlessness. That's what's going on there. You're right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But one of the things you guys touched on is sort of the crazy way that they've been treating Justice Thomas during all of this. So he's been one of the vocal opponents of Roe and
Yes.
proponents for striking it down. And so they have literally just amped up the threats against him, almost so that it looks a little bit like that high-tech lynching he warned of way back when he was nominated.
In 1992, you're right. Yes, yes.
It looks like it may still be up and running. People are literally just fine with, throwing threats of assassination and also, racial slurs as well. At Thomas's way. So it's just really kind of surprising I guess it's not surprising in a normal world. I guess it's surprising, but we haven't been there in a long time. So anyways, what do you guys have to? Oh, here is the little troll of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot,
Yeah.
and here she is literally on stage saying "F Clarence Thomas." So this is literally a mayor of a major city, and she's literally saying these things. Insurrection? I don't know. I mean, riling up a crowd. I don't think that Trump actually elevated the language that much when he was doing this stuff. Anyways, what do you guys have to say about this?
Go ahead.
Okay. What is going on here, Jason? And Tim. People think that the segregation of thoughts and ideas are a good thing. They think if you are black, you're supposed to think a certain way. If you're white, you think another way. So the very the very concept of thoughts and ideas are now being looked at in a manner that is worthy of the Jim Crow era. So Clarence Thomas is a black man, okay? So he's not supposed to hold conservative views. The people that have the hardest time in America today are black conservatives like myself. They have the hardest time in America. I could tell you most of the racism that I have ever faced in the United States came from white liberals, okay? And it's been horrible because if you're a black person and you're a liberal, that's okay. But if you're a black person and you're conservative, or you hold views that suggest that you're conservative, or hold views that suggest that you're a libertarian, you are in for a rough going. And I could tell you some stories here that more than this show can hold. I could tell you some stories about my personal experiences about living as a conservative, the life of a conservative here in the United States. But they don't want Clarence Thomas to be able to think for himself because he's a black man. He's not supposed to be able to do that. And this is what the white liberals try to tell us. Clarence Thomas have no legitimacy to be making any sort of opinions that sound conservative or sound like something of liberty, that sound like something of life or something about the pursuit of happiness. He ain't supposed to be able to do that. He's a black man. He's not supposed to think for himself. And this is what we black conservatives and we of liberty-minded people who are black, this is what we face here in the United States. And this has been going on for a very, very long time. Walter Williams will tell you about this. Thomas Sowell will tell you about this. And it's on and on it goes. As long as you're a black conservative, you have no legitimacy.
Not only, well, did you mention, I'm not sure I caught all of it. You mentioned so much, but did you get that he also has the audacity of holding the federal government under the will of the Constitution, under the limits,
yes.
under the powers and disabilities.
Yes.
And no liberal thinks that their almighty great God federal government should be limited in any way whatsoever by anything, especially an old parchment piece of paper. Okay. So, hey, if they want to make abortion legal or guns illegal or whatever, they want the government to be able to do it. And they'll jump on those trains to the gas chambers willingly, as long as the government is telling them what to do. Will they? Will they jump on the trains? Come on, liberals. I just told you would jump on a train knowing you're going to go to your death because of the tyranny of government. And I
Yes.
said, you would like it. And I think you really would. You got anything to say about that? You want to refute that? Because why do you keep going against anything that the Constitution says? No matter what it is, if you don't like it, you don't want the government to be hemmed in by it. Not at all. No shackles put on the government. You want them footloose and fancy free, able to do whatever they want. And when it, oh my God, but a Trump or somebody comes in and all of a sudden, you know, they're doing, or some Clarence Thomas says, you know, that the federal government has nothing to say about abortion, good, bad, or indifferent. It's not in the Constitution. It's not a power and it's not a disability of the government. It can do neither. And you don't like that. Because why? Because it shackles the government and you don't like it. So jump on the train, Dems.
It all depends upon who the engineer of that train is. If it's Biden,
yeah.
Somehow they're all along
Biden,
for that crazy ride off the rails. But if it's Trump, let's push the train off.
Yeah.
But section, I believe it's section Article 1, Section 8, I believe, of the U.S. Constitution tells us what the government can and cannot do. I think there are 21 things or 22 things that they can do that they're supposed to be able to do. Now they have gone way beyond that. Okay, way beyond that. Where do they get the right to do anything like these healthcare issues, even though they call it abortion healthcare? Where does the government, where does the federal government get the power to regulate to regulate any sort of thing, whether it's healthcare or abortion? Where do they get the powers from?
Where they get the power, and let me show you in the next article here. We can pull that up. They just try to create it, and here Elizabeth Warren is saying, "Okay, well, we really don't like what this branch of government is doing, so we're just going to add some more justices till we get the result we want." Well, you guys think about that. She's back with the same old tune of "Let's pack the courts in our favor."
Oh, that'll make it legitimate, all right.
Yes. Suddenly, we will have maybe, I guess they might want to put 15, 17 members of the court, and they are hoping, I guess, Biden, who can't even figure out when to sit down or when to stand up, he's going to select these people. So somebody in the White House is going to do it, clearly not Joe Biden, and they will give them the right rulings, the quote-unquote right rulings, and then the court will be illegitimate. Then the court will regain its legitimacy, and then we'll be in this utopia of judicial rulings that will be so nice and wonderful. This is what these crazy people believe. They do not believe in our constitutional republic anymore, because if the courts give the wrong rulings, that's a problem. If we make any arguments that try to say, well, you know, maybe your beliefs are wrong, we are called racist, we are called homophobic, we are called transphobic, all these things. Just look at what they do. Anything that disagrees with their narrative, they try to demonize. And this is what's going on right now. They're trying to demonize the courts. That's what they're trying to do, because the court gave, quote unquote, the wrong ruling. I wonder what they would have said when we had the Dred Scott case, where they told us that black people are supposed to be slaves in America. I mean, where were they? Were they out there fighting to change that? No, they weren't. But these are the insane things that's going on with these people. They have to have the right ruling, and the right ruling is what they believe. There's no room for discussion.
Yeah. In the cartoon land that would take us to is essentially a court where, okay, they bump it up to 13 so they get their way. Then the Republicans come and bump it up to some number like 19 or something. And then pretty soon we're up to, a few hundred justices in the Supreme Court, and it's all online at that point. And it's just crazy, like everything else they're doing. Kind of crazy like this story out of California, where now Gavin Newsome is literally saying, okay, well, if the Supreme Court and the Republicans are going to do this, then we are going to essentially pay for anybody to come here and have their abortion. So, I guess he wants to be the abortion travel agent of America. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I can't just let them, come to California on their own recognizance, or on their own abilities and on their own dime. It's got to make me pay for it, and everybody else that lives in California. We have to pay for their travel arrangements. But I mean, if the the majority of the people of California who are Democrats and keep electing these people and keep voting for this. And I'm sure the majority, if they were put up to a vote, hey, would you pay, we're going to increase your cost of taxes $100 a month, but you'll be able to use that money and help a woman come from Mississippi to get her abortion or whatever. And I bet most of them would pass that in California. They have no limits to how much money they want to pay the government. So that I've seen, and I've seen them vote for a lot of tax increases. So I would assume it would pass. And so this is a whole 10th Amendment. If that's the kind of government that the state of California wants, then that's the kind they'll get. And that's probably how it should work. I mean, I wouldn't vote for it, but I think it's a stupid idea. Although, if people want to get an abortion and they can't get it in their state, again, that's the whole ruling that was just recently done about Roe v. Wade. No, it's not going to be. Essentially, the federal government cannot say yes, you can get an abortion, it's a right, or no, abortion is not allowed. It has neither power nor disability to do either one of those things.
Yes.
Neither one is what the ruling said. Am I wrong about that?
No, that's correct. That's absolutely correct.
There you go.
The Constitution is completely neutral about the concept of abortion.
Neutral. Exactly. So if that's the case, then it goes to the 10th Amendment, and then all those other powers and disabilities are held in the states and the people. And that's us. And so, okay, now you can still you can live in a state that allows your abortion, or you can travel to one and get an abortion, whether you pay for it yourself, whether you hitchhike, whether Gavin Newsom takes money from other Californians, which is what Gavin Newsom is going to do. He's not going to give it to them himself. He's going to take money from other Californians and give it to somebody from other states all over the United States. As many as and how many millions of abortions do we have in the United States every year? Millions upon millions.
It's close to a million, isn't it? It's close to a million. It's a big number.
I don't know.
It's a big number.
It's big enough to put a dent in the budget of California. So hey, come on over. But that's basically the way this ruling went. It's like they act like you can't get an abortion now. All of a sudden, oh, heaven forbid, you can't get an abortion. But they act like that's the way it is. No, you can still get an abortion. And yes. I know you Democrats, that's all you care about, and that's all you want. You just like killing little babies. I get it. I know. As long as they're not born. They're born, then you get a little butthurt if somebody takes an AR-15 and kills those little babies. But it's okay if the little baby's still in the womb. Then it's okay. I get it.
And by the way, for our listeners here, we have a diversity of opinion on abortion on this show. Yeah. So it's not like one side of that. We just don't have the time to dive into that. It's more about the process.
It's not.
That's a whole show by itself. That's a whole show by itself.
Exactly. We could really go off the rails arguing about that.
Oh, we could. But I always wonder why these Democrats are so generous with our money. Okay, Tim, you're absolutely right. If that's the kind of government we voted for, and Gavin Newsom want to take money from me and you and Jason and give it to somebody in Arizona or in Mississippi to pay for their abortion, for them to come here to get their abortion. Okay, fine. That's the 10th Amendment at work. Fine. Okay. But I always still wonder, why are these Democrats always so generous with other people's money? Gavin Newsom want to pay for other people's money. Because other people's money. Yeah. Non-Californians are come here to California to get an abortion. Yeah. This is insanity at its worst. Okay, and I always wonder, why is this right, this so-called right of abortion, so important to the Democrats? Why? That they're willing to do all these crazy things just to make sure that this is quote unquote a right. Why? We are taking a life. Okay, we have an argument. Jason, you're right. We have a different a diversity of opinion on this thing, and you're absolutely right about that. But why is this so important? Why is this so important that the government should be paying to have this done? Why? The woman who had sex, she didn't ask me. When she had sex. I mean, I'm not talking about rape.
And you didn't have any fun in the sex, did you?
In the process, right? I didn't have any fun in the process.
But you're responsible for aborting the baby that came out of the sex. That you had no fun.
This is insane.
Involved in.
You're right, Tim. This is insane. She didn't ask me, and I had no fun in the process. But yet I have to pay for it. Why?
Right. What's wrong with this picture?
Well, but that's the whole thing with Democrats, right? It's never about you having any fun. It's about them just reaching into your pocket and paying for things.
Yes.
But that's got us good and triggered. And I think we have time. We can go just a little long today, so we'll hit our good guys with guns because we haven't done that for a few weeks now. So let's let Tim remind us that there are some good guys with guns out there.
Yeah. And they keep cropping up too. I'm not running low on examples of good guys with guns.
And
here.
I have a visual too. Okay, there we go.
There we are. Yeah, that's I think the police officer involved. This is down in Alabama on June 5th of this year. Homeowner fatally shot 2 masked intruders who allegedly, sorry, my cough, allegedly broke into his home during an armed robbery on May 26th. The incident occurred shortly after 9 p.m. at a residence in the rural area near Marlin Road. Anyway, the local news agency reported. When I arrived on scene, I noticed there were 2 subjects dead inside the home. Carbon Hill Police Chief Antoine Cobb, I think that was the gentleman in the picture, told the WIAT they had ski masks on. Investigators said the homeowner was shot while exchanging gunfire with the masked intruders. A second person inside the home at the time of the break-in was not physically injured. The wounded homeowner was rushed to UAB Hospital in Birmingham, where he underwent surgery. His name and condition were not immediately released. We hate that it happened, Carbon Hill City Councilwoman Oronetta Kirk told WIAT. He's a big part of our community, so we ask that you send prayers. Talking about the homeowner. You don't expect anything of this magnitude and this horrific to happen in this small town where most people are close-knit and loving, added the councilwoman Cindy Killingsworth. The coroner's office later identified the masked intruders as Dwayne Turner and Clifton Embry, both of whom were 47 years old. You'd think they'd learn by now to not do this. That was me ad-libbing. The Walker County Sheriff's Office, which has been assisting the Carbon Hill Police Department with the investigation, announced on May 27th that it had arrested Paula Charlene Painter for allegedly assisting 2 individuals in planning and carrying out the home invasion and robbery. Painter has been charged with attempted murder, first-degree robbery, and 2 counts of felony murder, the WCSO said at a Facebook page. So maybe this lady should not have helped plan this break-in. Now things went awry because the homeowner was armed and dangerous. And these guys are now have taken the room temperature challenge and our room temperature, and they are, and she is in trouble, big time.
It's funny, Tim. In this story, it takes place, I believe you said, in Alabama, and and so in this case, a homeowner shoots 2 people to death as they come in. And then the third person who was assisting him actually gets charged with murder. Now, imagine if this happened in Chicago. I think it'd be the other way around, where it'd be the homeowner who would be charged with murder.
And
they'd be an award to the person who drove the 2 invaders.
Oh, probably, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's all that whole, thing we have going on, this hypocrisy going. Oh, I said it again.
You said it. And I want to take, Tim, I want to take a little issue with one thing you just said, okay? You said the homeowner was armed and dangerous. Not dangerous. He was armed. He was maybe dangerous to them, but he was still
to them. That's what
not dangerous. So, but armed,
not to me. Yes, not to me.
I'm glad he was armed, or she was armed. I'm glad.
Yeah, me too. So,
well, that takes us right to our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, and so we'll wrap this up. And this is a pretty quick one. So apparently, after the whole Roe versus Wade decision by the court. This pop star, I guess, I'm not really sure what her songs are, so I'm just assuming it's not fake news. But this pop star Pink apparently said that anybody who's pro-life, apparently, here was the exact quote she gave on Saturday. She said, "Let's be clear. If you believe the government belongs in a woman's uterus, a gay person's business or marriage, or that racism is okay, then please, in the name of your Lord, never effing listen to my music again. And also, F right off. We good?" So that was her quote. And I almost feel like we just did one on the Biden economy. I mean, she should be sounds like a Biden economic policy advisor.
Really?
It's like,
seriously.
Just don't listen. Just don't do business with us, okay?
What an arrogant, exaggerated sense of self-importance. My God, I don't know who she is, to be honest, and I really don't care. Is it a she?
I think so.
Yeah,
okay.
That's not a particularly good picture of her. She's a really good singer, though, and I like her a lot. I think she's great.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah, and I'm listening to her music, and but okay, so if the government shouldn't be in a person's uterus, then then what about the state governments? Is it okay for the state of California to make it okay to have an abortion? Is that that's the government being in your uterus? Say, don't want to burst your bubble there, Pink. And then another state may make it against the law to have an abortion in their state. But exactly that's what the ruling was, is that the federal government is not given a power or disability to be in a woman's uterus. That's what was determined. And so therefore Roe v. Wade, it was what would that, well, I don't know. I don't want to get into the names of it, but Roe v. Wade was a decision that was non-constitutional because it had to do with abortion. It had to do with the uterus, Pink, which is where the abortion, is eventually taken, so to speak. But the whole gay marriage thing. Hey, guess what, Pink? I agree. I don't think the federal government should be in marriage at all because they're involved in marriage via the tax code. So I think they should not have any difference between taxing someone based on their marital status. Okay, how do you chew on that, Pink? So yeah, let's eliminate marriage out of the tax code completely. And at least it's a start. I mean, maybe eventually we'll eliminate the income tax code too. You might be in favor of that, Pink, since you make so much money. So yeah, let's talk about these things. And if there's a future, which I doubt, but if there is a future decision regarding the gay marriage thing, then let's look at that based on its merits and not jump to conclusions. Like this is a slam dunk. I mean, this whole decision about abortion is just basically a big throwback to following the Constitution for a change. And I'm sorry,
the 10th Amendment
and the 10th Amendment, yes. And so and then those original, that section that has the list of powers and disabilities of the federal government, which there's no mention whatsoever about this whole abortion thing. So so I'm sorry, Pink, but you're right in one way, but you're wrong. But if you want to tell people not to buy your music, and that's also up to you, you can do that too. There was a way to figure out not to sell it to them. I suppose you could cut off your income stream that way too. Go ahead. You're free to cut off your income stream any way you want. Anyway, so there you are. How about Leon?
Tim, I just thought your discussion about this, it seems to me like you use the H word without actually saying the word. Okay, that's how it seems to me.
Well, it is funny that there are other celebrities out there making kind of silly statements, and one of them is the singer for Green Day. Apparently, he's going to leave California to move for France because of the Roe versus Wade decision. So a state that literally is going to have no restrictions on abortion. He's leaving there and he's going to France, where they actually do have restrictions on abortion, all to protest Roe versus Wade.
It tells you how these morons think, right? They don't know jack about anything, but they think they could tell us how to run our lives. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're very emotional, though, Leon. They're very emotional. They follow their emotions.
Yeah. And emotions drive their lives, and they think it should drive ours also.
Well, hopefully your emotions keep you afloat through this terrible Biden economy to our next show next week. Until then, stay free.
Indeed.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.